Lakshadweep, the enchanting island boasting the most beautiful scenery unparalleled anywhere else in India. Today's travel tale delivers into the island's charm and must not miss underwater adventures. Let's kick off by detailing the travel procedures. To reach Lakshadweep, we have two choices, air or water. Opting for a plane is the most convenient, and in our case, the Bangalore-Kochi-Agatti route had a single flight service. We boarded the morning flight departing from Kochi at 9:15 and touched down on Agatti Island by 10:30. Before embarking on this journey, securing a permit for Lakshadweep is a must. To obtain the permit, a police clearance certificate is necessary, and the application process can be done online. Link is provided in the description. The aircraft, an ATR-72, a subsidiary of Airbus, is a compact flight catering to Lakshadweep. The Agatti Airport runways size limits larger planes from landing, explaining the exclusivity of this service. Once we pass the greenery of Kochi, a vast expanse of the sea unfolds for about an hour, revealing small islands on either side. Lakshadweep comprises 36 islands, with human habitation found only on around 10 of them. Yeah, so we made it to the Lakshadweep island. This is the plane we hopped off. Since the airport's on the smaller side, we have got to do a bit of walk, almost like getting off a bus. There are always two helicopters here ready to head to Kochi for medical emergencies. So here we are. Welcome to Lakshadweep. Malayalam is the official language over here, which is why all of you Malayalis should definitely check out these islands at least once. We've got to verify our entry permit at the airport before we can roam around. It's my first time in Lakshadweep, and I was a bit uncertain about the whole deal. Thankfully, I mentioned that someone was picking me up for the airport, so I didn't have to stress about directions. And yes, someone did show up, but the vehicle was a bike. Honestly, you could just walk, it's that close. Usually they send a van, but since I am solo, a bike it was. Remember how I talked about getting a permit to enter into Lakshadweep? Well, either someone leaving here has to invite us, or we can go for a tour package to secure the permit. This time, I went with Tripuntold's package. It's a bit cheaper if someone invites you, but being part of the tour package is smoother choice. I will fill you in on that later. The resort's frontage opens up to the beach, creating a delightful and positive ambience throughout the entire area. Once we touch down, the first thing on the agenda is hitting up the police station to get our permit sorted. We are heading there right away with a naufal from the resort staff. Luckily, every island here has its own police station. Bikes are the main mode of transport since the island is just around 7 kilometers from one end to the other. Plus, petrol prices are sky high, so bikes make more sense. This island is packed with coconut trees. They are literally everywhere. It's not just about this island. All the islands in this area boast an abundance of coconut trees, making coconuts quite affordable. Now this is the main road on the long Ashgard-shaped Agatti Island. The roads are just as wide as they need to be, not more. While you might come across some cars and small goods vehicles, larger vehicles are not too common over here. And here we are at the police station. We have finally arrived at the police station, and what's amusing is that 2-3 policemen seem to have a little work to do other than the check permits. It's quite amusing here because this place doesn't even have a minor criminal cases. I enjoyed the friendly atmosphere at the police station, the entertaining comedy programs on the television. They asked me about my family, my job, the videography, and had the friendliest conversation one can have in a police station. Now we are heading straight for a day of boating. I mean spending the whole day cruising around in a boat, until evening. Some other folks from the resort are coming along too. They'll get there by a car. We're hopping onto this boat. It's actually a fishing boat. It's a bit of a unique experience, to experience the boat that goes into the sea for fishing. So let's have some scenic views of the sea. The sea has a lovely green hue now, with a lighter shade near the shallows that gradually deepens as you move further. This dark shade is noticeable in coral areas too. The major activity here is the boat trip from Agathi Island, usually included in most resort packages. As we ventured away from the shore, we experienced gentle tides, not too forceful. The watercolor transitioned from green to blue, and now a deep blue over here. It's around 10 to 15 meters deep. Just like vehicles back home, we have number plates. Boats here require registration and specific number plates. Ours is labeled as India Lakshadweep Agathi with a unique boat number. Once our boat journey kicked off, we witnessed the lively scene of today's catch being hauled in for frying. Noor, a staff member from our resort, was busy fishing. Noor and Naufal are always around to assist with outdoor activities. Can't thank them enough. Oh, and look, we caught our first fish. Not sure of its name, but Lakshadweep is a home to a variety of fishes that we don't see in our areas. Since the sea boasts 1,000 fish varieties, the ones we can't eat are released back into the water. As mentioned, this time I chose the Tripuntold's luxury package. Their packages usually starts off at 18,000 bucks and goes up. The cool part about going for such a package is that they handle all the bookings for the activities included. Otherwise, it's a real hustle trying to book these boat experience, and sometimes you might even end up paying for the whole boat. With such a package, they sort out all the main activities like scuba diving, snorkeling and more. When you're spending 3-4 days in a spot, running around trying to organize each activity yourself just doesn't make sense, Now we are off to see the remains of an underwater shipwreck. Then to Tinira Island, and onto the sandbanks the adventure begins. After a while, the sea started to have some tides. Even though there weren't any waves, the boat was swaying back and forth. Nope, this boat doesn't do the side-to-side dance, sir. It's got a captain. Well, you can't really blame the captain. After all, the sea isn't exactly quiet. If you're not used to the sea, that swaying back and forth can make you a bit dizzy, like the motion sickness you might get in a car. Luckily, with the calm tides here, nobody has to deal with that kind of sickness. Alright, we have gone from the deep sea back to the shallows. This area has the most corals. Those dark areas you see are all the corals. When you're cruising on a boat, you gotta be careful not to run on them. Not every coral is hiding pearls or gems. These are as tough as rocks. If you're not cautious, your boat might smack into them and go kaput. Small boats can usually navigate over them, but big ships are in for a tough time if they don't know the ropes. Now we are heading to check out the wreckage of a massive ship that crashed ages ago, because they didn't know about these sneaky corals. By remains, I mean we have to dive into the sea and peek into the ocean floor to spot it. Now the guy who just took the plunge is a Kinnanan. He doesn't require a life jacket. He's a true local, born and raised in these waters, a real child of the sea. He's standing in the water and it's chest deep. Everyone's got a life jacket and their own guide, so no worries even if you're not a swimmer. Those black things you see are a part of the shipwreck. You don't really have to swim to enjoy the underwater views because it's just a waist deep. While scuba diving involves swimming with oxygen tanks. This is more about floating on the sea to check out what's below, snorkeling. All you need is a breathing tube and a waterproof goggles to lay on your stomach and see the underwater beauty crystal clear. We're strolling through the sea and eventually we just lie on our stomachs and enjoy the underwater sights. The guide pulls us around showcasing everything. The life jacket's on, so there's nothing to worry about drowning. We simply float around. This area is close to the remains of a shipwreck that happened nearly 50 years ago. Only the iron parts are remaining. Colorful fish swim among them, creating a vibe like being in a giant aquarium. In the sea, you usually spot the common yellow and black crucifix fish, but there's a variety of colorful fishes in the different sizes hanging out with them. The crucifix belongs to the pearl spot species, and the big fishes aren't really a thing over here. They are mostly around this size. About 5 to 8 years ago, there used to be more shipwreck parts around. Check it out. Someone's attempting to nab an octopus with a pipe. Octopuses are often found among these corals. This one got caught in the act. I might look like I caught it, but you guys finders keepers. These octopuses are cut up for their bait to catch the bigger fishes. These amazing scenes are what makes Lakshadweep so appealing. Picture yourself just floating in the sea water surrounded by all these. Where else can you get an experience like that? That's the main reason you shouldn't skip Lakshadweep. Imagine the pure joy of seeing this for real. Now, why are these fishes always around us? Well, every time we come over here, we bring a biscuit packet with holes in it. The fishes gather around to munch on the biscuit powder that falls off, with tourists rolling in a boat after a boat. These fishes just can't resist hanging out on these spots. Check out this clamshell right here. It's like a flower petal half open. If anything like fish falls into this, it closes up and chows down as its own food. But watch out, if your finger accidentally gets stuck, the only way out is to cut it open. These corals are alive and they grow super slowly. Just like regular plants, it's hard to spot corals around. We'll go scuba diving to really witness the magic underwater later. Now, after some underwater adventures, we are heading over to Tinira Islands. We'll have our lunch over there at the islands, and they're preparing the fish for some fries. Catching, prepping, frying, and finally munching down on it. Once, these islands had resorts and houses, but now no one's living over here. They're pulling up to the shores, dropping anchors to keep these boats away from floating. Lunch is packed from the resort. Getting on and off the boat seems to be a bit of a mission. There's a handy ladder to hop into the water. and wherever you step, it's always waist deep. So if you're pretty much wet all the time in Lakshadweep, no time to dry it off. This beach is a sight to behold. Actually, any beach in Lakshadweep is just stunning. Coconut trees everywhere, and you've got an endless supply of refreshing, tender coconut water. Check it out, someone's grabbing some coconuts. After sipping on that sweet, tender coconut water and munching on the coconut meat, you will feel a whole new level of freshness. And just in time, the hot fish fry and biryani from the resort are on the way for today's menu as today's lunch. After the lunch, without wasting much time, we left to the next spot. See out, the anchor we threw in earlier is getting pulled up. It might not look too heavy, but it's around 50 to 60 kilos. The boat's speed was a bit much and the ladder ended up falling overboard. Noor didn't hesitate and dived right in to retrieve it. If watching all this makes you want to hit up Lakshadweep, you'll have to hold on for about 3-4 months until the next season. Most tourist spots here are shut down during the rainy season. Also, it is turbid waters when it rains. You'll not be able to see any underwater visuals. Look at those clouds. By the way, I made this trip to Lakshadweep towards the end of May. Tourism wraps by June 1st and kicks back in towards the end of August. We're next going to the sandbanks. It's not exactly an island, more like a massive heap of sand. The waters here are super chill, only a knee-length high. It is very safe to get into waters here, as the waters are only knee-length high. Due to the high tides now, only a bit is visible, but usually it's way bigger. Anyway, we docked the boat right on the bank. This place, hands down the most photogenic place in the Lakshadweep. The sea color, the boat and the bank. I'll show you some more pics. See the color of the sea where the boat is parked. The dark blue areas are pretty deep. The island that you see right behind is Bangaram Island. Tourists aren't allowed over there. You will have to take a special permission to get in there. A few activities of G20 has taken place here. Although we can see much of the sand, almost half a kilometer of these sandbanks is only knee-deep. Perfect spot for learning to swimming. There's a small waves on both sides. During full and new moon days, the water is as still as swimming pool. I can't explain it scientifically, but it happens on the new moon day, full moon day, and days that come before and after it. That is around 5 to 6 days in a month. Now Noor is demonstrating floating. Apparently easy even without a life jacket. I mentioned the sandbank isn't that deep, right? Just after it, there's a big pit. Noor is taking us over there to show it. And wow, it's unexpectedly deep. When Noor and Naufal said they'll hold hands to float, I tried capturing it on the video. You can clearly see the difference in the color and the shades of water indicating the depth. Since these guys practically grew up in these waters, swimming with them is safe. So we are heading back to the resort after the water play. The boat was really shaking in the waves, and it was a beautiful experience. Though we feel a paranoid seeing this, it is actually quite comfortable, but we lose balance if we stand up. And this is the compass on our boat. If we are offshore, we use this compass, but it is compulsory to install the GPS on every boat. And as we know, travelers used to rely upon this compass in the past for their land and sea exploration. And though we are on the era of technology, we cannot depend totally on it, and a compass is fixed on every boat. We are about to reach the spot where we started our boating in the morning, and this is the lighthouse. That is an old fat boat. Our vehicle was waiting at the shore to take us to the resort. And we have reached our resort. There's a coffee shop inside the resort, so let's go have some coffee from there. It's not just a coffee shop, but it's a beautiful spot to spend an evening with the family, sipping a cup of coffee, and we could take photos over there. And this is Dvibunda, a special snack in the island made using jaggery, coconut and nira. Though it's a dry land, we could buy nira from certain places. It's neither the mere coconut water nor the toddy, but it's a drink which has the properties of both nira and toddy. It tastes like honey, and the people here make jaggery by drying it with nira, and this gives the jaggery a very special taste. So we have experienced numerous stunning sights on our first day in Lakshadweep. But even more incredible sights await us. Scuba diving, snorkeling and night fishing stand as the primary activities in Lakshadweep, with many more adventures awaiting us in the next episode. Until then, bye-bye.